Hi, I'm Emmalynn.
I'm Jessica.
Today we're going to be doing a used book haul, mostly from a recent library sale. So we thought we'd share what we picked up because of the cover.
And some are from Pango.
Yeah.
Because we did have a lot of money saved up on Pango. But to get started, all of these are kind of mixed up from different locations, but I'm trying to separate them into genre. So these two
I didn't.
Don't really fit in with the other genres, so I'm going to talk about them first. So this is Love Story by Karen Kingsbury. This is the first book in the Baxter family series, which I think is became a show or a movie. I'm not sure. But I really just wanted to read this because I love a good family dynamic series. And this one starts out with the grandparents of the family, and one of the grandsons is doing a school heritage project, and he wants to do it about the origin of his grandparents' relationship. So he starts asking him questions, and then he tells their love story. And then this one I picked up at the library sale, and this is Hillbilly Elegy, which, if you didn't know, is a movie on Netflix, but it is based off of this book, which is J.D. Vance's life story about growing up impoverished and overcoming the poverty life he was kind of destined for, and his family had lived through various generations, to then go on serving in the military and then going and putting himself through law school. And now he's obviously potentially could be vice president. So I want to watch the movie, but I do want to read this first.
My first book is Assistant to the Villain. I wanted to read this when it first came out, and I don't know why I didn't. And then the second one just came out, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Because I wanted to get the sprayed edges before they were out. So I bought the second one new, and then I went back and found one with sprayed edges on Pango. And this is basically about this girl who's hired as an assistant to the most famous villain in their kingdom. And she slowly starts to figure out that there's a rat in his empire that's trying to take him down. So the villain has his own villain, and she's trying to figure out who it is. But she also has a crush on the villain. So this just seems like a very funny book.
Yeah.
And just kind of,
I love
just
the
there
frog.
for a good time. Yeah. I love
the frog. The frog looks like the frog that sometimes lives on our formal living room window.
Yes. And this is dual POV, and I love that. But this just seems like a funny fantasy, cozy fantasy. So I'm excited for that, because if it's not so serious, that's obviously the goal.
Yeah. So a less daunting fantasy book. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about historical fiction books. So that's my first genre. And I've said this in multiple videos, but our family is literally obsessed with the show Turn, which is about the spies during the American Revolution. And a big part of the story of Turn is Benedict Arnold and him being a traitor to America. And so I saw this book on some list, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to find this somewhere. The library doesn't have it. It's really hard to find. But it's called The Traitor's Wife, and it's about Benedict Arnold's wife, Peggy Shippen, who basically was in love with a British officer, and who's John Andre, and she makes kind of a deal with him that in order for them to get married, he needs to turn Benedict Arnold so he can get infamy and then wealth enough to marry her. So she does that, and in the process she actually ends up marrying Benedict Arnold, convincing him to become a traitor to his country, but then she gets stuck with him because John Andre dies. So this is kind of this, I think this is told from the perspective of her maid, which is interesting because her maid is a big character in the movie Turn, but I don't think it's historically accurate who she is. But anyways, this is going to be really interesting. I'm really excited to read this. It could be honestly utter trash and I would still eat it up because I'm just so invested in her story because she was such a pivotal character in what Benedict Arnold did. Like, she was honestly just as much of a traitor as he was, but she didn't really get recognized as one because she was just his wife and she pretended like she had no idea what he was doing. So I'm really invested in this. I'm excited to read it. And I'm excited I found it.
Okay, my next one is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I just finished a novel love story and I bought this one. And I'll just go ahead and talk about. I also bought The 7 Year Slip. I bought all of her books before reading them because I just saw them all at once.
I don't remember.
I got these from Second Trolls. I just saw them all at once and I was like, why not? And so The Dead Romantics is about Florence and she's a ghost writer and she has to go back home because I believe her father just passed away and she hasn't been home in like 10 years and her family owns a funeral parlor. So she's
Which is so weird.
They own a funeral parlor and then she's there for her dad's funeral and outside the funeral she sees this ghost standing at the funeral parlor's front door and he's just as confused about why he's there as she is. And that's pretty much all it says. So I feel like this is going to be either really funny or sad.
Can we just take a moment to talk about how the phrases funeral home and funeral parlor are so weird?
Yeah. Parlor is what's weird because it's like you go hang out there
and have tea
like
and play some bridge.
And then it's like beauty parlor.
Yeah.
So then,
but funeral home is even weird.
I don't know what the appropriate phrase is. We need to make a new
funeral
word.
Services.
Service home.
Funeral chapel.
No,
I don't know.
That's dark. I don't know.
Funeral
but
place.
It is weird. So I just read the synopsis of this book. I had no idea what it was about except that it involved a ghost. So I'm excited, and apparently it takes place in the South. I'm hoping it's in like New Orleans because New Orleans has good like ghosty vibes.
Yeah, good lore.
And I don't know, it's just giving that to me, but we'll see. And then The 7 Year Slip is about this girl who goes back, or she like inherits her aunt's house after her aunt dies. And she gets there and there's someone in her aunt's house and he's 7 years in the past and she's quite literally living 7 years in the future. Her aunt always said the apartment was a pinch in time, a place where moments blended like watercolors. She also said that love is never a matter of time, but a matter of timing. And Clementine fears she may be 7 years too late. So I feel like this is going to be super depressing.
Yeah,
but
I'm like eating up time travel books right now.
I know, me too.
And I never thought I would say that.
Same, because I avoided The Dead Romantics and this one because I was like, it's going to be sad. I don't know if I want it. Also, like, does she have a thing for birds? Because, this is so random. But there's, like, crows on this cover, which is obviously, like, funeral vibes. But then there's birds on this cover. And then in a novel love story, they talk about these specific birds called starlings.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. It's like, is this,
like a sign of a bad omen?
Yeah, so, like, can someone explain to me, does she have, like, a thing for birds? Does she
Maybe
know
it's
what
about
birds?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just something I noticed.
Okay, to continue my American Revolutionary phase of life that we're all living, this is My Dear Hamilton by Stephanie Dre and Laura Camoy. I don't know. I know she also wrote America's First Daughter, which is about Thomas Jefferson's daughter, which I also really want to read, but this is about Eliza Schuyler Hamilton. Eliza!
You can do that.
I know. I'm a what do you call it? Imposter.
Yeah.
But Emmalynn and my younger daughter Ellie went through a phase of life where they were, mostly my younger daughter, but they were obsessed with Hamilton the musical, and probably I would say Ellie still is, more closeted maybe, but this is about Eliza's upbringing, and then it goes from her upbringing to like her meeting Hamilton to then her having to live her life after he dies. But I don't know. I just find this really intriguing because also Hamilton is intern and Lafayette. And the inside of this says, if you've ever wanted to banter with Hamilton or share a dish of tea with the Marquis de Lafayette, open the covers of My Dear Hamilton and step right into Eliza Hamilton's parlor. The gang's all there. And that just sounds like a good time. Like, I just have really been loving reading things that I wouldn't normally read, but also things that, like, when I walk away from finishing it, it makes me think about things differently or think about things that I haven't really ever thought about before. Like, I mean, I've always known who Hamilton is, but I've never known, like, in depth the role that he played in American history. So I'm excited to read this one as well.
Well, you should just watch the musical. I learned everything I needed to know.
I could.
But you won't.
In snippets. I have to watch it in snippets.
Just listen to the songs.
I can
Spotify.
do that. Yeah.
Don't have to watch it.
Okay, maybe.
Okay, my next book is The Outsider by Stephen King. Me and Mom both agree that we want to read a Stephen King book this fall. And honestly, I went to Second Charles, which is like our local.
They have them everywhere.
It's the first time I've ever seen it.
In the South. I think it's a Southern thing.
It's a used bookstore, massive. And I just literally went to their Stephen King books and was just flipping them over.
We were just looking for used
for
ones.
the used sticker because I was like, I don't have a specific one I want to read. I just want to pick one up randomly. And so I turned this one over to see if it was used, and I just see Flint City, Oklahoma, and I was like, sold, because we're from Oklahoma. So anything that's written there or describes Oklahoma is very rare. Mm-hmm. It's not really a beloved state.
Usually it's about tornadoes.
Yeah, which is fine. It's accurate. So I immediately wanted to read this, and it's just kind of like it seems to be just a small town murder. So I don't know where this like whole horror aspect is gonna go, especially with the cover. I do like the cover, like the shiny, but I felt like based on the synopsis, this would be a good entry. I'm never gonna read like it or anything.
No, heck no.
That's a no for me. I don't care, but I'm down for some darker psychological mysteries.
Okay. On that same note, I too picked up a Stephen King book, and I have like 3 books by him that I was interested in trying, and this was one of them. The other one is Fairy Tale, and
I want to read Hauling. I know nothing about it, but I like the cover.
Oh, I also want to read Misery because I've seen that movie a long time ago, which is about an author. Oh, yeah. So this,
I read the synopsis of that one.
Yeah. So this lady kidnaps an author to like make him finish his series. Anyways, it's an old movie, but this is one that I have seen a lot of people raving about, and I would never read any of his books that are like demonic or anything like that, but since this is time travel, which I'm really digging right now, and history, my other love right now, I was like, this is perfect. And this was only $6 for this hardcover, and it looks brand new.
That's cheaper than mine.
Yeah. So this is like a time travel of a guy. I know this is a show too, sidebar, and I feel like I started it and I don't know. I don't know what happened. We start shows a lot and don't finish them. But he basically has a way, he goes in a door, I think, and he time travels to the 1963. I don't know if it's just 63 or if it's just that era of time. But he tries to stop the assassination of JFK, I think. But then it's like he kind of I feel like something happens and he wants to stay there. Like maybe he meets someone that he falls in love with. I'm not really sure. But another YouTuber that I watched just read this, and she was like underlining stuff like crazy, and the quotes were actually really beautiful. And I would not think of that for this book, so I'm interested to see what his writing is all about, because again, I literally know nothing about his writing. So quite the beast, but I'm excited.
Okay, my next one I totally bought because of the cover, and I saw this at our library sale, and it's called Before the Devil Knows You're Here. And honestly, I just thought it was absolutely beautiful and it looked new. And, you know, most library sales are like mass market paperback romance books. So I saw something new and I wanted to know what it was. And one of the comments on it is a fresh look at American history and folklore, weaving familiar mythology into a fantastical and horror-tinged tale about the deals we make to survive and the scars that never fade. And I know this takes place in 1836 in Wisconsin. There's like a massive synopsis that I quite honestly refuse to read because this book is so short. So like if you have this whole thing of a synopsis and this is the whole thing, too much. But it's just so pretty. And I don't know if this is like a first edition thing or if they still sell it like this, but if anything, it'll look great in my room during Halloween.
Yeah.
And it was $3, so.
Sure. Okay. I guess I'll talk about some fantasy, historical fantasy, we'll say. So this is The Lost Queen by Signe Pike. How would you say her name?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. Anyways, guess what? I think this has time travel. But I bought, oh no, her other book does. Never mind. But I thought I was buying this book a long time ago and I accidentally bought the second one, which is called The Lost Kingdom, I think. And I've been meaning to buy the first one so I could actually read this. But this is like a Celtic, Scottish vibes fantasy book. Really, I'm not going to read the synopsis because it has a lot of really weird to pronounce names, but this totally gives like the movie Brave as like an adult.
Outlander?
Yeah. Fantasy.
Or no, it's not.
Yeah, I don't think it is time travel. I think her other one is. But anyways, this is fantasy. I think there's a lot of like political things happening in this world. Her kingdom is at risk of being conquered, those kinds of things. But yeah, it literally says rescuing a passionate and brave woman from obscurity and reclaiming her place into one of the most enduring legends of all time. Like, it literally sounds like the movie Brave.
Yeah.
So, and she's a redhead. I love redheads.
Okay, my next one is a series of unfortunate events because I decided I want to collect all these books in their original hardback state. I don't want like a paperback box set. I want all different size pages and all that. And me and my sister were absolutely obsessed with the show. I only read like the first 3 or 4 books. I never read all of them, but it was $1 and I was like, I've been wanting to start collecting these. Why not start now for $1? And I'll have them forever. And the spine is just cute too.
They are really cute. Okay.
Pocket side.
I'm not going to talk a lot about this because it's the second book in the series, but I got this, which is the sequel to Anatomy, a Love Story. Anatomy, a Love Story is about a girl who is wanting to be a surgeon, but women weren't allowed to be surgeons during that time, so she like strikes a deal with someone, right? With like one of the professors or something, that she can learn if she acquires dead bodies. Am I saying this right?
What I remember is that he says she can like take the test, but she like can't come to class, I think, and so she has to like figure out a way to learn things herself. Yeah. Because they have like.
So does she befriend a gravedigger?
Yes.
Yeah. So this one is.
And then people start disappearing.
Yeah. This one is following that one. This is also like has historical elements because I think it's set during Victorian times. But yeah, the second one, Emmalynn really liked both of them, so I wanted to buy them. And the covers are so cool. This one looks like obviously a brain, and the first one looks like a heart. Like her dress looks like a heart the way it's flared out. So I really like the covers.
Okay, my next one is also middle grade, and I read the first book of the series when I was like 12, 13, and I just, you know, was a child and I never
bought
the second one. Yeah. And
you have the first one?
Mm-hmm. I never bought the second one, and when I was reading these, it was like when they were coming out. Nowhere had the second one at the library. But this is like Harry Potter vibes, probably like Keeper of the Lost City vibes, like just magical school.
Yeah.
Little group
oh my
of
gosh, you could have read that for your school prompt that you got, remember? And you
Oh,
had
yeah.
to fit back because you couldn't find any.
none that I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm excited to read this. I like middle grade for the fall specifically.
That's cozy.
Just something to like read while you're around people that you can still process and you're not going to miss anything. But I loved the first book. I think I still will because, again, like Harry Potter
Yeah,
vibes.
it's just like nostalgic.
Yeah. But I don't know. I saw this again, Chunky Boy for $1. Why not?
Okay. So these two kind of go together. So I'm just going to talk about both of them. So I've never read Practical Magic and I've never watched the movie, but that's about to change. And I was trying to decide, should I go in chronological order or
Publication.
publication order, and I decided to go in chronological order because
Smart.
this is set in Salem during like the Salem witch trials. So I was like, that's where I think I'll begin. That sounds fun. So this one is about a girl who is abandoned and then in the woods, and then she's found, and she is found by a woman who I guess is a witch, and so she raises her as her own daughter, but also she recognizes that she has like abilities, so she starts teaching her the ways of the witch. And then when she grows up, she is declared. She is betrayed by a man, and I guess he leaves her and he goes to Salem. And so she follows him there, and I feel like it's for revenge purposes. It sounds like, which sounds like a really good time. So this is like the start of the Owens family. And then I have been seeing this several places, and it was at the library sale, so I was like, why not? But this one is about a woman. This is set in Boston in the 1600s. But she's married to a man that's like really cruel to her, probably abusive, and she decides that she needs to divorce him basically to like save her life. But then he like suspects that she's a witch or something, and everyone around there is like looking for people who like bear the signs of witches, you know, whatever that might be. And so she is trying to like not only escape this bad marriage, but also like save her life and keep herself from getting killed because she's a witch. And then just as a sidebar, everyone probably knows what this is, but my younger daughter is reading this for school this year, so I've been trying to find it. And this is the book that the movie Unbroken is based off of. It's about a guy who gets held as a prisoner of war during World War II and everything he goes through there, and then his story of redemption once he's freed. So I was really excited to find this for $1 because we needed it for school and I didn't have to buy it brand new. So that's exciting.
Okay. My last two are both like ballet related. I did dance for like 3 years, so naturally it's still like my whole personality because regrets. And this one is called Tiny Pretty Things, and it's actually a Netflix show. I'm not sure if it is YA, but the vibes are not giving quite YA. I feel like it's going to be darker than that, and the TV show is rated mature, so I wouldn't say this is YA just based on the synopsis, but this is about 3 ballerinas, and they're all just kind of fighting for the soloist position at the American ballet conservatory. And the synopsis of the show says there's like an attack that happens. There's nothing that says that on the book. It just says that like there's no such thing as like too far. Everyone has secrets. Being a prima isn't all satin and lace. Sometimes you have to play dirty, with the competition growing fiercer with every performance and harmless pranks growing ever darker. It's only a matter of time before one small spark ignites and even the best gets burned. So, I'm interested to see, like, is someone gonna die? I have a lot of questions, so that's gonna make me read it soon because I really want them to be answered. And then we have The Ballerinas, which I know is an adult book. And this is about a girl that, like, left the Paris Opera Ballet, and 3 years later she's returned to choreograph something for them and realizes that, like, there's some secrets that are coming to light, and I guess there's some things going on. These are both, like, very brief, so I don't know, like, is my imagination running too wild with, like, a murder, or is this just, like, petty secrets? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I won't let you know.
Maybe some scandal.
Maybe there's some intrigue here. And both the covers are just vibey. So, yeah.
Okay, so this one I've checked out from the library before, but I don't think I ever got to it. But this is called Ghost of Harvard by Francesco Saratella? Maybe. But this is about a girl who goes to Harvard basically to try to solve the mystery of her brother's death, which also happened at Harvard. And basically he came to Harvard, and being at Harvard made him turn into a schizophrenic, and he ended up killing himself. So she's like, that's not normal behavior for him. Like, there must have been something happening. And so she starts, I guess she's going to school there because it says she's under pressure and competition. So I guess she is, yeah. But she, like, finds some of his, like, notes that he wrote while he was there. But he was, like, majorly paranoid. And then in her, like, investigating this, she herself starts becoming paranoid and, like, starts hearing things. And so there's definitely something going on. But I'm saving this for fall. Yeah. And then this book I picked up because the second book in this series was also a book of the month recently. And I wanted to read this one because I'm like, if authors are repeat authors for, like, books in a series for, like, a mystery, that doesn't happen a lot for book of the month in my opinion. But this is about, I think it's like a detective series. And this guy has, like, a vacation home. And so he has a bunch of people over for a party. And then by the end of the night, the guy who owns the house, who threw the party, is dead in the lake. And so this detective has, like, a village full of suspects, and she has to figure out who done it. So it's kind of giving, like, is it And Then There Were None that's a party? Which one is it?
I mean, they all, like, get invited, like, to a house.
Yeah.
And they don't know why.
That, where they're all, I don't know, I just pictured, like, all of them sitting at the table and, like,
you're right,
them one by one, you know? So, anyways, that's our small book haul. And we probably need to pump the brakes on book hauls until... I mean, all of these were, like, either free because we had Pango money or, like, less than...
I only spent...
Well, the Stephen King one, I guess, was not that cheap. But all the rest were, like, under $3.
Yeah.
So...
library sales don't count as real money.
Yeah, true.
Because I'm being supportive.
You're right. And we utilize the library, so we want to support the library.
Yeah. And I got 5 hardback books for $7. Yeah. So
that's a deal. Can't mess that up. Okay. Well, if you have read any of these books and you think we should, like, bump them up in priority, let us know which one. Some of these we're saving for fall. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll see you in our next video.